Welcome to the thenolaroexperien podcast. Raw, honest, relatable experiences that help us grow. Are you subscribed? If not, what are you waiting for? Go! And please, leave a review and help us grow while you're at it. Thank you.
On today's episode, this phenomenal woman sitting right next to me right now, we're going to be getting into all the things shapely and snap scene with iHeart Thomas, the SOA Q&A, and of course today's happy habit. I am so happy to finally have you here.
I'm so happy to be here.
I've been plotting on you for a long time, but I kind of, giving you a little space. You're doing a lot.
Yes, I appreciate it. When I walked in, I was like, I've been waiting for this my whole life. I literally said, I've been waiting for this my whole life. But,
I love it. And the feeling is mutual because, we talked a little bit about your business behind the scenes. And the one thing that I love about you is, I guess it's a bias thing, right? I like when people are here. For the people who are listening, I'm doing the peace sign, eye to eye thing.
Yeah.
I love that you're focused on not only contributing to the community, but you want to make money.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I love that. So we're definitely gonna get into the business aspect of it. But what I want to know is how you even got to this space, what your journey was like. What was that thing that happened, or the things that happened that brought you to this space where you're like, I want to support plus size women. I want to do events and flaunt our bodies and have fun. How did you get here?
So it comes from trauma. To be honest, it comes from trauma. I was in my late 20s and I had like a terrible breakup, like shattered. And I had a very poor body image, low self-esteem, all the things you could think of that go with this earth-shattering breakup in your 20s, right? Where life is never going to go on for you. And I found a cruise just doing a random Google search. And, most people cut their hair and stuff like that. I was like, I need to get out the country. And I ended up going on a trip with this group of plus size people. And on that trip, I learned about so many other trips. And I was like, why isn't there like a list or a directory for these things? And for the most part, you had to find these events through Facebook groups. And Facebook groups have their, their underbelly of seediness, so to speak. And I had just graduated with my associate's degree in web design. So I was like, this would be a perfect opportunity to create a directory for people like me who want the information but either don't have social media or don't care to engage in all the Facebook groups and stuff. And that's how Shapely was started. And most of what you see with the brand is like things that I've personally been through or things that I personally enjoy. And being a problem solver by nature, I'm like, and an oversharer, because I could overshare the heck out of something. I'm like, if I feel this way, I'm pretty sure there's like 100 other people that feel this way. So let me just be honest in what I feel and see who's receptive to it. And before I knew it, there was just this community of people that wanted what I provided or identified with some of my struggles and my trauma, and Shapely came about.
Okay, you said a couple of things. The first thing is I'm happy that you recognize that when you're in your 20s, you're confused.
Yes.
Because people be like, I want to go back to my 20s. No, thank you.
Yeah.
That's okay. That 20-year-old girl, she had her experience. She can stay where she's at.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And the other thing that you said, which is super powerful, you didn't automatically think you were alone.
No.
You're like, if I'm experiencing this, I know other people.
Yeah.
That's like 10 steps ahead.
Yeah.
Because you're not going through that whole, I'm by myself, I'm lonely, let me figure this out. You're like, nah, I know people are out there, which is like intelligence, right? That's intuition.
And I also credit that to my work in the social service field. Like a lot of people don't know I work in the social service field by trade. So you see the problems literally come in the door. So it's like, yeah.
All right. So we have to talk about, you mentioned trauma.
Yes.
Right? Yes. And remember we were talking about events, and I'm like, unfortunately, how you level up and how you learn is by going through the bullshit. Yes. Right? You mentioned trauma as the catalyst that brought the knowledge about, the motivation, which I like that you decided to have that be a stepping stone as opposed to a stone that's on top of you.
Right.
You're like, I'm going to step on this, right?
For sure.
Was there somebody, do you remember a person who said something to you or did something and because I remember people saying things to me like, oh, you're tall. And when I was younger, you're so skinny. Yeah. Or I don't like dark skinned girls. Yeah. And I still remember those three people. I don't remember their faces, but I remember hearing those things and wait, so being tall, it's not good? Yeah. Hold on. Being skinny, it's not good. Oh, being dark. Oh, okay. I understand now. My skin color is a problem. Do you have a person or people like that?
Yes, I would say people, because to me, people are society, right? So when I was in my house, I did not feel big in my house. I did not realize I was big until I stepped out into the world. And I was like, okay, I can remember my first day at first grade at PS 138. Like I'm eating breakfast and somebody just randomly poured milk all over like my food. And then I remember feeling very self-conscious as to like anybody who's plus size, like your thighs rub. So those are much darker. So being in a bathing suit as a plus size person is much different than being in a bathing suit as an average size person. So just realizing that you and your body are different and realizing that the outside world, especially back then, people, it wasn't always cool to be plus size, right? I'm glad we're where we are now, but it just wasn't always cool. But back then, those people were general society who let me know that I am not the standard of beauty. So.
And then fast forward, we figured out there is no standard.
There we go, right?
Like there is no standard. Yeah. You know, you have people making songs about BBW,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And I like that you said you were fine at home.
Yes.
I want to drive this point way home for people. You're always fine until somebody tells you something.
Yes. I grew up in a Rastafarian household, so makeup wasn't a thing for me. Nails weren't a thing for me. I was raised to embrace who I naturally am. You know,
That's probably why your skin is so good.
Oh yeah, thank you.
You never messed with it.
No, never really. Unless now. The first time I had my makeup done, I was in my late 20s. The first time I had a weave, I was in my late 20s. So I was good at home, and it was traumatic going out into the world.
You're like, wait a minute, excuse me?
Yeah.
I didn't know something was wrong with me.
Yeah. And then everybody in the home big too. Like we just like, but I'm thankful. I had amazing dad. My dad has passed, but I would come home and like tell him what happened, and we would practice like our comebacks and stuff. So people are like, you're so witty, you're so this, you're so that. And my dad and my brothers, like we would go toe to toe.
I had practice.
Yeah. And then I would go to school the next day like,
you know what? That is hilarious to me, because did he ever tell you, you know what? Just punch him in the face.
I would say my mom more so did that. My dad was a very use your words kind of, and my mom was like, if that don't work, knuck if you butt. Like,
you know what? I like, you know what? I'm going to skip that. But I think there's a nice balance of, I'm a nice person, I'm a good person, but I need you to know not to violate me. Yes. You know what I mean? I'm not saying nug if you butt. Yeah. But if you put your hands on me.
Yeah. And that's how I am to this day.
We bucket, right?
So try it.
So what about the people who uplifted you? Because I know that it's not just trauma.
Right.
That, there has to be something that makes you feel like, okay, I'm good.
I don't remember feeling uplifted until I really joined this plus size universe, to be honest. I've always felt like in the shadows, outside of like my family. I can't think of a safe place until plus size. I honestly can't think of one until when I discovered this plus size universe.
And how long ago was that?
My late 20s.
Wow. Okay.
My late 20s. I've always felt like the fat friend.
We don't know how old you are.
39. 39.
Really?
Yeah, 39.
Wow. So 10 years or so, you've been immersed in this community, right? And people are telling you, you're beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just like, what? I'm used to being a fat friend. I've been left outside of clubs. When that thing happened with that model in the city, it wasn't new to me.
Greenhouse?
I was just like, I believe that's what it was. And then other people in Miami,
I've been left outside because I was dark skinned.
Well,
I was.
There you go.
Because I worked in nightlife.
Okay.
And I understand that even as a dark skinned woman, I have people telling me, a dark skinned woman, not to bring dark skinned people into a party. Wow. You're telling me this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? People always want to know, you had so many connections with industry people and you did so many like dope things in nightlife. Why are you not there?
Oh.
Because I never felt comfortable. Yeah. You know, it's so much that was going on that
the most, like, you put work into this and you can't even really see it in real time because
but go where you're appreciated.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Go where the people, they don't have to look like you, but the mindset is important, right? Yes. And when people hear about body image, I feel they always think plus size.
That is very true. It's not true. The language has changed. So now you see a lot of size acceptance language, and now you see a lot of body positivity language, because people are realizing that body image is not limited to people of size.
And I think the part about it that also stands out the most to me is when you tell somebody who it seems the whole room thinks is beautiful, you're so beautiful. Have you ever seen somebody like that? You're like, you're gorgeous. And he or she is like, no, I'm not.
I have friends.
No, I'm
not.
Friends
like that.
It doesn't matter what people say, because remember we were talking about how the negativity is stronger than the positivity.
Yes.
You have 2 or 3 people tell you something bad about yourself, and the 10 people who come in and say you're gorgeous, you're beautiful, you're like, I don't believe y'all. Yeah. I believe those 3.
Yeah. Yep. Or somebody could give you a bag full of compliments, and we hold on to that one complaint or that one negative thing.
Yeah. Why are we like that?
I don't know.
Why are we like that?
Yeah.
So obviously people are going through this. If they're listening, if they're watching, what are you saying to them? What would you say to somebody who is too skinny, too fat, too dark, too light?
I would say go to shapelyevents.com and find your community. I will also say, like, really just align yourself with like-minded people. I think now, the internet has its blessings and its curses, but I think now with social media, the internet, it's so much easier to find a community that you align with. So try to find those people that you align with. Also do the work within yourself. Right? Because I think even if you find people that look like you, if you don't like you, you're not going to like them either.
No matter what they
look
say.
Like you. Right. So it's just like, I think it should be, it's best if it happens simultaneously, right? The growth within yourself and the alignment of like-minded people. And just, you have one life, just live out loud. Somebody going to like it. Like that's
Do you have fat shaming fat people?
Oh my gosh. I think we are the biggest offenders. The biggest offenders. Okay. I feel like, and with my brand, this is one of my pet peeves. I feel like there's the acceptable fat person, right? There's the hourglass, and then there's the peer, right? If you do not, people say Drake is not talking about you in that song if you do not fall into those two categories, okay? So people like me, like I'm a circle shape, you know what I'm saying? There's the
Are you sure you're a circle?
Yes.
You didn't do shapes in school. I can tell.
Yeah. I actually I did, and I was just like, oh,
really?
You know, after taking so much photos and videos, you know how to pose and to, you know, I'm definitely a circle. Like my love handles and stuff go outside of my waist.
Oh,
my waist is much
means.
lower.
Okay.
Yeah, so it forms like a circle.
I've never heard that in my life.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after this, I'll stand up and like show you. But so if you don't fall into those two categories, it's like you're not a BBW anymore. Like you're just fat. You know what I'm saying?
There are so many parallels within the different types of body issues, right? Because I feel the same. Obviously, I'm hyper aware of dark-skinned women, right?
Okay.
And when I see people celebrating dark-skinned women, I'm like, yeah, but her nose is skinny.
Okay.
And her face they all have the same face shape and the same features. So there is a type of dark-skinned woman that's acceptable as well. And I'm also thinking about, you mentioned, do the work within, right? I was telling my mom yesterday that ever since I started driving the car I drive now, I started seeing it everywhere. Like I never noticed it before. Yes. I'm like, okay, that type of psychological experience, all of a sudden it's everywhere. If you're thinking about yourself in a negative way, you're going to see all the things on the internet that's shameful, that's against you, that's traumatizing. Isn't that how it works?
Yes, because if it doesn't apply, we let it fly, right? So if you're stuck on that, that's what's gonna stick out to you.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
But if you have a more positive like if you're thinking, I'm beautiful, I know I look good. Yeah. All of a sudden, even if you're in the community with like-minded people, you're going to start seeing the positivity in it. You're going to start understanding and loving it, accepting the compliments. Yes,
for sure. For sure.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done around this. Yeah. It's not just watch what you eat, go to the gym. Because I also feel like you can be a heavy person, you can watch what you eat, go to the gym, lose weight, and then you're ashamed of your body once, or you're ashamed of another thing once you slim down, because it's a mindset.
That happened to me.
Stop.
I don't know how I lost weight. I'll send you a picture when I was heavier. But I don't know how candid I could be. But one time I had bent down, and I felt like my boobs hit my kneecaps, right? Because the skin, there's skin. And
from fat loss.
Yes, and it flops in a way it has never flopped before. And I want to say this was about 3 months ago. I was going out with my friends and I was just in the mirror, just picking apart every piece of my body. And they were like, oh girl, hell nah. But that happens. And, I'm like, did I feel better when my skin was fuller? Because I've been plus size my whole life. So the elasticity is not as there as it would if I lost weight in my 20s. So it's getting used to things touching and rubbing that never touched and rubbed before. So that's why sometimes you see people who have lost weight but are still not happy, because now there's a whole
other thing now that we have to work through.
Yep.
I completely get that.
Yeah.
But then there's this thing that we say, right? Because we like to say all the nice things, and I'm not into that.
Right.
I'm not saying we should say all the mean things, but I'm specifically talking about the things you say that sound nice, but it's not realistic, right? People always say looks don't matter.
I wouldn't have got left out the club if it didn't matter. Okay? Right?
It's the way you suck your teeth. I don't hear anybody doing that outside of Guyanese people. But looks don't matter. How do you convince somebody that looks don't matter when everywhere they go, they're being judged based on that?
Yes.
Or they're being treated, they're afforded opportunities based on that. How do you convince somebody looks don't matter?
Don't believe that. Like I don't, and I think we have to come to terms with that. That's what it is.
Because I feel like we want to hover above what's really happening in society and be righteous, but when you come back down,
and that's not. And I'm glad, you know, people like you, you're gonna get the real. It does. It definitely does. You have to be cognizant of it, and if you fall outside of that mold, acceptance of that, and like you said, go where you're loved. Like if this club won't let me in, we're gonna throw our own parties.
And you know, there's a community of people who don't want to go where people are like them.
Yeah. If we had a whole other episode, denial is a river in Egypt. But okay. We had a whole other episode, but okay.
I want to be with that group over there, but they don't like you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, you know, I thank God for like my parents, because you see people going to crazy extents to fit into this box of people that don't care for them.
And the box is fake. Like, you go in there, you're unhappy.
Yes.
Everybody's fake. Everybody in the box in denial too. All right. Any last words about body image?
Do the work, and the work is not always physical, right? Because you can still do that work and be unhappy, right? So it's inward. Like I said, I was 309 unhappy, 238 unhappy, right? So it takes that work within you.
How did you do that?
To be okay. Cut out carbs.
Really?
Yeah. So I was pre-diabetic. And I literally just did a hard cutout on carbs.
So you stopped rice, potatoes.
Yes.
What else?
Yes. Breads. I was a net carb. I don't want to say keto per se, because I don't recommend that long term. But it was literally dang near everything.
Vegetable,
meat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would literally count like macros, because nothing compares. No, what the heartbreak I spoke about earlier does not compare until they mistakenly told me I was diabetic. It was the receptionist told me I was diabetic, and
this is a knock if you bump moment. If there was,
I was in the waiting room crying, and the doctor came to call me, and she was like, you know, why are you crying? I was like, you know, I'm diabetic. She was like, who told you that?
No.
And she was like, no, you're pre-diabetic.
You know, this happens all the time, right?
I thought it was just me. And I'm just like, she's like, no, I'll deal with her later, but you're pre-diabetic. And it took me 2 years to get out of the pre-diabetic range. So 2 years of no carbs. I was hangry.
So, but you did it.
Yes.
I want to drive that home again.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yes, it is.
You did it.
Yes, it is.
I love that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I love
Thank
that.
you.
I love that determination. You're like, I'm not losing my life out here over no damn bread.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna jump into our next segment, which is the SOA Q&A, where our producer Shot of Adrenaline will ask us questions and we have to answer them.
Okay.
She's like, ooh, sounding like Halloween. Ooh.
Yeah.
The way this works, he asks the question, you repeat the question, then answer.
Okay.
All right?
How does my culture impact my business practices? The morals and principles I was raised on are the same ones I have until this day. So those don't waver for me. And sometimes that gets me in trouble. It's caused me to lose money, lose relationships. However, I strongly suggest, and I do the same thing, I stand 10 toes on what I believe in. And I'm a person first kind of person. So person, profit, and purpose. So.
I knew you were gonna say you would lost money.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened.
Okay. Yeah.
Your heart can be big with a big pocket.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
I get it. What was the worst thing I did as a teenager that I got away with? I have to admit that I was one of the kids in school shaming another kid. And I just tilted her head to the side like, not you.
Yeah.
But that's my truth. And it's not something that I'm ashamed of. It's not something that I regret. It's not something that I would not talk about and be transparent about, because that was my mindset at the time. You know, that's the frequency I was flowing through at the time. So you can only do what you know. You can only do what you understand. But I am sad about it because a bunch of us reunited with this person on Facebook, and we were just like, hey, hi. And it was cool for a minute. And this was in our 30s at this point, right? It was cool for a second. We were all 14 when it happened. And then one day she just put out this post. They used to tease me and now they want to be my friend. And in that moment, I was like, you requested me, right? But at the same time, I was like super apologetic. I DM'd her, I apologized. And I was telling her, like, I'm so sorry I did that. That's not the type of frequency I flowed through now. I would never, you know. But I just thought it was odd that she's still friends with everybody except me on Facebook. She deleted my ass.
Oh, wow.
And she kept everybody. And I'm the one who apologized.
Well, what did you say back in the day?
I didn't say anything different from anybody, you know.
Wow.
We almost got kicked out of school over it. But I'm sorry about that. I'm sad about it. And I wouldn't say I got away with it because I'm feeling it.
Right,
you know?
Right.
Sorry about that, friend.
Oh, I love that. I love that you apologize at the end. What do I pretend to hate but actually love? Y'all gonna kill me. As I said, I was raised in a Rastafarian household. I couldn't eat pork, but ribs? Have you ever had ribs?
Not pork ribs.
Man.
I've had beef ribs when I was a kid. It's good.
If you have time for a funny story, I remember one time one of the neighbors had beef ribs from the ribs from the Chinese store, and you know the sauce is like bright red.
Oh my god!
So I snuck and bought an order, and I'm hiding, like devouring these ribs, and my mother come and I'm literally red-handed because there's bright red barbecue sauce everywhere, and I was just like,
that Chinese sauce that was killing people.
I would have did.
Yo, that's hilarious.
Yes, so definitely some pork ribs.
Wow, I would have never thought that. I would have never. What is something I learned recently that I wish I learned 15 years ago? Managing money. Why did y'all take so long to tell me?
You're not the only one.
That's it. That's it. That's it. It took me too long to figure this out. I'm like, this was so easy. It would have been easier back then, you know, and because I have so much money come through my hands.
Yeah. I learned from watching people mismanaging money, and I know I've experienced the effects of that. So I always told myself, when I'm able to have control of my income,
I'm not doing that.
And that's how
I like when people do that. They're like, I saw you fall down. I'm not walking there.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so now in this segment, which is Happy Habit, you tell the people what's something you practice, something that you do, whether it's periodically or frequently, that brings you joy.
So on the smaller side of things, now that life has become so much busier, I take some time out. I would say between 7:45 and 8. This may sound so small and minute, but to just have coffee with nothing else happening?
No, it makes a difference.
Oh, okay.
What?
Okay, so
that moment of nothingness.
Yeah. Just to have coffee with no TV, no nothing. On the bigger scale, it's giving myself grace. I think we can be very hard on ourselves, and the world is hard on us as well. So how do we benefit from beating ourselves up? I'm not saying not to take accountability for our actions or mistakes, but if we can do the work to find the root of why this happened or why I chose this path and give ourselves grace in the fact that we're learning from it, then I definitely think so, because you could beat yourself up emotionally into oblivion.
Imagine you're going outside, you're getting beat up, and you come inside, you're by yourself, and you're still getting beat up.
Yes.
Must be hard.
So,
yeah, I know about that.
Yeah.
All right. I love that.
Thank you.
And quiet time. Mm-hmm. Quiet time. You're comfortable with your thoughts.
Yes. And they are a lot. And sometimes I need that just to process them. I'm an avid overthinker. It's annoying sometimes.
I think when you're alone with your thoughts, you get to know yourself on a level that's beyond anything anybody can tell you about yourself. You'll be like, you don't know, I will stab you.
Yeah.
In my head, this is what I'm doing. Because when I'm quiet, I'm like, I'm going to stab people. Yeah. I'm kidding, guys. That's not what I mean.
No individuals were harmed during the making of this podcast.
Period. And that's it.
Yeah. Sometimes if you drive with the radio off sometimes.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I do that all the time. Yeah. I'll open the sunroof and just listen to the wind. You know, it's so important because we're constantly being fed something. And we're like, why is everybody having anxiety? You know, why is everybody depressed?
Especially when you live in the city.
It's the worst.
Yeah. So people ask, sometimes I go to more quiet destinations or destinations people deem to be boring. And once you live in the city, I think quiet time
Interesting.
is
all right. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Another hack.
Mm-hmm.
So where can people tap in and find you, connect with you, and be your friend?
Okay. Be our guest. Now let's stop. At Shapely Events on all platforms. For the selfie studio and content creation and stuff is at Snapscene, SNAPSCENENY across all platforms. ShapelyEvents.com, SnapsceneNY.com.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
That's it.
So, this was awesome.
Bye. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Aya.
Thank you. Congratulations on I'm so Black girl proud right now.
Thank you.
So, yes.
It's a two-way street. Yes, thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for tuning in to the TkACTN podcast. Created and hosted by Nola Rowe. Produced by Take Action Media. Theme song by Mr. Melee. Sponsored by The Hills Restaurant, Brooklyn, New York. Listen to us on all podcast platforms and follow us on social media at the thenolaroexperien podcast. Visit thenolaroexperiencepodcast.com and connect with us via email at talkwithnola@gmail.com.